Officials are the most people aba allow corruption to exacerbate ngaphakathi jail. If they were not the ones who were doing that, they can tame it, they can curb it, they can, control it. But because they're negligent of their duties, ngeke si assign ama-post siyama-officials. Kwi-section mhlambe ihouse abantu abayi-300 basifake siyi-8 and bathi kule yakhona kuhlala 2, kule yakhona kuhlala 2, kule yakhona kuhlala 2, la kuhlala 2, and then last in a leadership eyi-1, i-DSO eyi-1 eyi-chief ihlale ofisini, bese sonke siyi-9 sihlale ofisini. Ubani ogadela ama-post? Who will be checking if who is practicing what, who is doing what against? Because the reason we have prison guards in jail, it's for them to look after the prisons. It's like a shepherd heading sheep or cattle, if you like. So if you neglect your duties, who then should be responsible for whatever ramifications of your negligence? I understand that they are the people who are exacerbating in the gangsterism, every wrongdoing that actually takes place in jail. Because even them, they should police one another. They should check, what do you do? What activities do you do with this one, with that one? Why are you so close to inmates? What are you talking about? Not negating the fact that Umthetho says it's more of a client and a server relationship that is built now. Not negating the fact that you have to be closer to inmates interaction-wise in terms of rehabilitation. As Kulumeli to be closer because you just want to be closer and get money and do this and do this and do this. But apparently the converse is true. Okay, Ipoisa is part of the gang. Al-Jambis is part of the gang. But Umbamba is part of the gang. When he speaks to gang members, they don't speak in another language. They speak in that gang language, that lingo that they have created. And he responds in that language. Now, here's the thing. When they're busy interacting, maybe on a window, they might mingle the language with the normal language, but there are phrases, gang phrases, that he understands, that he shouldn't be understanding, because gangsterism is actually something that's practiced whilst tightly in a hidden form. It shouldn't actually come out or be understood by prison guards. But why does this one understand that he needs to bring dacha? He needs to go and take that parcel and bring it here. I'm not saying prison wardens don't practice corruption with people like me who are not gang members or people who are not into gangsterism, you understand? But when the communication goes and tomorrow morning or next week there are knives in prison, who goes out? Because prisoners don't go out to buy new knives. But you'll find they say, we were searching so and so, we're informed by another chivato in the gangs, and Pimpi, if you like, who a snitch, if you like. They told the police because they were fearing what is going to happen. Say, hey, we've got 27 knives, all 7 stars. I won't tell you who brought them. They were brought by a police. He might not corrupt, or he might not corrupt, I would use that word, this element of this cop or this guard, but he can corrupt this or jeopardize the duty or the mission. Remember, there are gang members who don't have tattoos. There are gang members, when you strip them, you don't find even a single symbol that says I'm a gang member. But they are generals, or they are even bigger than that in the gang. You understand? Why? Let me make you an example. Some of them were caught in these activities, and grievous activities like stepping a guard or this and that. prison warders ended up cutting off that symbol, maybe at 29 or 27, 26, whatever the case might be. They ended up cutting it off, cutting his flesh where it's marked. And he ended up without that. Now, with their understanding to say you can never engrave another thing again, what if they chop it off again and then you end up being chopped off and then become something else? Then the understanding that when you had lost a tattoo in that sense, then you can stay without being tattooed. Now, the initiation and the mercy of an official not to bear a tattoo or to be engraved with one, it goes along those lines that he works with us as a silent partner. In business, he would be a silent partner. That's the initiation process to say, these are unmarked members of our gang. But you initiate him with language because you need to speak to him without others, comprehending what you're actually saying. Because in essence, those people can speak and you don't hear anything. And the next thing you are hit on the head, kwahla, down.
So manje le 15 yakho le abakushaya ngayo udonse kanjani? Udonse iminyaka emingaki lapha eSouth?
Okay, in that 15 years, I made an appeal. My friend, the white friend I met in Bramley Police Station, actually helped me with that. And then we did an appeal, and then they took off or took out from that 15-year jail term, they took out 2 years only. And then I was left with 13 years, and then I came out after serving 6 years and 7 months, if I'm not mistaken. I got drafted from Johannesburg prison to Leeuwkop prison. That's what I got during that 15-year jail term. Now, Leeuwkop was full of my Alexandra homeboys, people I knew. On the outside, people I already knew in the years that I've been in prison, that I spent in prison, because you get to familiarize yourself with people. You sit with somebody you didn't know for years, obviously. Some people even become brothers in jail, you understand? They become your brother. Now, when I went to Leeuwkop, I was already equipped to can stand most of the situation. Let me tell you how. In P1, I attended programs, so many programs, that I decided no one coerced me to attend. Not the DCS brought those programs forth, but people from the outside, the community, you understand? So, like, there was this guy, I call him my mentor, because that guy really gave me a different view. Like, he got me into thinking of things deeper. He brought a program of motivation and public speaking, but it would take 90 days in a motivation class. You can imagine, it's not like you watching a clip of 1 hour, 60 seconds, and then feel motivated and be filled with gusto and think you can tackle anything on earth. No. That guy would bring a program for 90 days. After 90 days, he would choose certain people to qualify to be facilitators of that program. I attended this program for 4 years. To become a facilitator for that program, it was called Total Power Motivation. There is no motivation or motivational cause or anything that I've come across that TPM hasn't touched on any subject that is contained in those other motivations in I don't know, beyond what people might think, you understand? So that guy, he's one of the most people I value in life because of what he brought to me back then. The guy is Errol Clark. I don't know if he's still alive. He's a colored guy. He looks like of Indian descent, but he said he came from Cape Town. So I thought maybe he's Indian from Cape Town or colored from Cape Town, but he didn't look anything like colored. He was more Indian than colored. I attended this for 4 years. Only the 4th year, that guy said, you can qualify now to be a facilitator. Mause Danyani, ufunda a crime better than you did it outside. And ufunda a life a positive better than you did outside. And it's up to you whether you lean your free will ngapha or on the other side. You understand? So Errol was actually seeing the element I didn't even see. Ukuthi, I'm actually leaning on the side of crime more than I am kule line lengizikhohlisa kuyo le side ye positivity and righteousness, if I may put it that way. Ngalesa sikhathi mina ngibhayisa igada. You understand? Ngibhayisa izolo because mina anginamuntu ozongibhesuka ngaphandle. So I had to find a way ukuthi iGriza lamali zile lingiphathele inkawuza, uMorris makazile angiphathele inkawuza ngibhalisele inyuku, ngikwazi ukuthola nje iplastic yegada ngizovuka. That was the aim, and the aim prospered because ngibhayisa igada almost for the entire prison sentence, even in low cop. Ngizibhayisa and hayi kancane ngizibhayisa.
Uzibhayisa kanjani igada ungana number?
Nginempintshi mina ezikuma gangster. So akunanto uzongithola ngiblomena labantu ngixoxa nabo into zangaphandle and they know ukuthi ngaphandle ama capabilities wami yini. That didn't give me advantage, but mental strength yami told me ukuthi if you're not hustling for yourself ngaphakathi, you won't be able to do anything. Though it was my weak point in what I have decided to do, but it was also my strength ekungisizeni ukuthi ngikwazi kuba nezinto ejele. I understand. It was my weak point in the form yokuthi I wanted to be someone who grand, who righteous, someone who is rehabilitated. After all, in prison, no one will rehabilitate you. It's just a self-rehabilitation center. They put you there to speak to yourself, to speak to your mind, to speak to the inner man, if there is such a thing. Then you consult with that so that you align yourself to this side or the other side. And the pendulum, it swings both ways. It can go this way and put more weight, or it can go that way. But into yangisiza ukuthi I thought more about where I am, what must I do for myself. Ngavele ngazitshela nje ukuthi ngobhaya igada ngibhayise ngoba la ngaphakathi la lento wena ongibuza yona ukuthi the people who are allowed to sell are gangs. No, that's not true. I sold ngasi igenge. I sold every place I went ejele. I sold izolo. People who were gangsters, some came to buy from me. Mase ngikhulile. Mase ngikwazi ukuhlanganisa neprison warder. Lingaya igada, ngeligaya imali, ngibhayise imali. Sekuyime ngidisseminateayo. I grew like that. Gangs would come to me. Some would come ngengqondo ukuthi bazoza bazongishaya. Yeah, vad. I understand. But in actual fact, Errol was speaking truth. This disadvantaged me in the growth, the positive growth that I had attained. But it also enhanced me in the realities of ukuthi I'm inside, I have no visitors, then I have nothing. You understand? I cannot depend on prison provision, because prison provision, sometimes ungaba on the queue and be the last and get gravy, ungatholi inyama, and get ipapa encane. My fist is bigger than what I would get. And what suffices for a man like me, or a lad my age at the time, what suffices for me to be filled up when I get something lesser than this feast for eating? Say maybe ipap. You understand? So I had to take a measure, a drastic measure, whether it was positive or negative at the time, but to me, it made sense. Like I'm telling you, I've always used my mental strength more than the physical aspect of things. That's why we're speaking now for a longer time, and I've never told you about a confrontation and fight. You understand? Because I've always guaranteed ukuthi if I can maneuver la, into eso ngeke ngikwazi ukuyenza. And enye into bengiyenza ngokuzigada, yeah, that's another thing that worked for me. Into bengiyenza benginokaphuna isijumbana. Uyabona? kaphune ngizenze ngiyazi ikampeso. Mangifika ngalesikhathi sasekuseni basasebhizi nalento zabo zokuphakamisa iy'thupha benzani angikhulumi ngilahlela iplastic nyana nje liboshiwe isijumbana sineyigada. Mangihlangana nomunye mhlawumbe abanye begenge emajita nizoncenga lapho emajita bayazi ngibhayisa izolo. So ngiyabakaya. I have no loss in that thing because i-quantity engiyitholayo ne-quantity engiyi-disseminatayo for the amount into engaka like the tip of my finger for 5 rands when I'm getting 5 liters for 900 rand ngaphandle. Ngayenza ama 5 liter engaka ngikhipha into engaka nge-5 rand, 5 liter yensango engaka. And ngifake 10 liter or 20 or 25. How much do I make? If I take one plastic bank, which is stuffed to be when you like would spill it up, izobangaka ibholo like a soccer ball the size, and divide that into these camps and give it to them. They greet me like, oh, I guess now enjoy, I guess now. Like I'm worshipped just for disseminating dagga for that week. You understand? Then they come and buy at me because they know if they come to buy from me, it's easy. Why is it easy when they come and buy from me? Because I just give sometimes. So in mind works more than amandla in prison. And a lazy mind, it becomes vulnerable to the activities that are unbecoming, like your sexual, like your rapes, your fightings, like stabbing and stuff. Because you've got a callow mind, you don't actually want to think. Bengithe kuwe ejele sifunda i-crime better. Each and every time maungena ufunda i-crime better. Mina, I'm telling you, this guy is just late. He was from Esprit. He was a young man, very young lad. And when he was telling me he did cash in transit heist, that was my turning point. Uthi hayi mangifika ngaphandle ngiyoyenza kakhulu, because that guy looked young and he was well respected by bigger men. They call him ngapha nangapha. And then I'm like, ntwananyana le phela le ngineplug ukudlula yona le ngeke yenze lezi zinto engayenza amasimba mina mabanganginika umratata. You know, you start fascinating yourself or getting fascinated about these activities in your head, and then you start fantasizing, and then you start, you know how it is, it begins in the mind, and then it invigorates your body somehow to a point of attracting it to that. So you purpose to say ngiyala. Now there's this other group, positive life. It also influences you, but it doesn't take center stage like this one, because this one guarantees you cash, and we are about that, we understand. So when you are in jail, ungena uphula amadladla. Abantu bamadladla, even when we talk, you know, leze isbrak. We understand. But you're getting money, you're getting jewelries, you can support your family, but leze isbrak. Ale shy bathu. Because apparently people who do cash in transit, they can get transportation from these ones, or they can even incubate them into their gangs, because Wezenge means a transport as a driver or as something, because these hijackers are actually used to indaba yokugijinyiswa amaphoyisa. They drive better than us who carry AK-47s. You understand? So by virtue of you seeing who is elevated or who is considered highly kuma bandit status, then you want to elevate to the next level, even beyond the next level. You understand? So a crime is idolizing jail more than any other thing. And to say it won't have an impact on you, you need a matured brain. You might be intelligent, you might have mental strength, but is it strengthful enough to resist the demon of being influenced into doing a better crime? That becomes a determining factor. You understand? Yeah. So that's how I got to be influenced. Well, remember, before I went to prison, me and my grandmother bought a house. When I got out, ngiphumele Ivory. Mangiphumela Ivory kagogo wami. ngihlala naye. Ngihlala ney'ncosi zami ezithu. My uncle is dead. My brother, my uncle. You know how we intertwined that, me and you. But he's dead. He died the very same year I was sentenced in August. He dies in December. Very hectic. I never buried them. My aunt, whilst I was serving a sentence, it was in 2005 or 6. The one who raised me from 2 years up until 6 years, and remember the story. She left me there, yes. She dies. I can't bury them. My grandmother, who is a mother to my grandmother, who I thought is my mother. I know it sounds like a conundrum, but my great-grandmother, she passes on. We were friends as well. She passes on. I don't get to bury them. No last respects. To this day, I don't know her grave. And she's here in Avalon. But I've never been to her grave. So prison can deprive you of a lot of things. I come out to all of that. Then my grandmother is there, still the same house. My brother has died, / my uncle. Got a brother, a little brother. Now this is biological brother. He's still living there, he's young. My grandmother is there. My children, I had 2 boys. So I'm coming out of jail. I've got my little brother. My brother or my uncle is dead, and then there's my grandmother. My biological mother doesn't live there. She never even lived there. She wouldn't have lived there as long as my grandmother existed. You understand? So I'm coming out and I'm like, ish. Get into this dining room. You know, a lounge is called a dining room in the townships. And I'm like, no welcome party, no special dinner. So ngila endlini. Ngikade ukufika vandag. You can imagine uzalagini. Whoever is in here ubuye jail. And ubatshelile ukuthi namhlanje yes. You can imagine what kind of a setup it would be. They would want to fete your coming home. You understand? And maybe a partinyana or a dinner for that matter, a family thing. But where you get in Kokoko, it's like you just came from, you were here, and then you were in the corner yabuya. Yes, sanibonani, ngathi ungene ubuye emsebenzi or something. Besiphekile kune papa lapha kune. There's nothing else to eat. I've got money, by the way, because what I did was ngihambile ngaye esentini mangiphuma azange ngize endlini straight. I wanted to come in the evening when, you know, night time had dawned, darkness, and then everybody else doesn't see me. And I went in the dark, had groceries because I knew who was there and what was happening there. So I brought groceries straight from prison with my prison man. Remember, I sold dacha, got money, put lapaya. Back then, you could keep 20,000 in a jail, like where they keep it for you in the front, which you will utilize to buy at the prison kiosk and stuff like that, you know. But I had money and had left. My friend had came to visit me, a guy I met in Low Corp. He knew about my name before he met me. But he went out in February, and he went out in January, and in February he was visiting me, showing me a pouch with Kruger Rands, telling me he got this from a house robbery, da. And then he left about 5,000. That day he bought things for 2,000. He gave me pocket money for 1,000, and then I'm a king. You know that money in jail is too much. And then when I was about to go out, that guy dressed me up in Versace from toe to, or head to toe, whatever you want to put it. He dressed me up in Versace. This guy is involved in criminal activities. And he brings me clothing for my date of going home. And then I'm dressed up in Versace. I'm wearing an Omega timepiece. He brought that when I was 2 months away to go out. He brought me an Omega piece. He got that timepiece, obviously, in the activities. He brings it to me. And then he goes to Sentin Square. He buys Versace. He brings that to me. To say, when you go out, you'll be dressed like this. He was, when we talked on the phone, hey, Konje, hey, shy size band. Hey, your shoe size. Hey, figure. Hey, da. You understand? Then he bought everything. And it was top notch. But, you know, the precedent it sets, it's crazy. Why am I saying this? This guy is doing these activities. And I'm caught between two thoughts. Doing crime and in a better way, or having a change of mindset and doing, living a positive life like any other normal human being would do. You understand? But I'm caught up between these two. But I wasn't caught up for long, because when I entered the house where my grandmother lived, it changed the perspective different, like entirely different. When I view things, when I perceived things, I just saw that, no. I need to do something about this situation. Indlu sasedewe ngishiya ngakhona, not improved. Kunendawo like igarage ingaqedelelwanga ukwakho. Ugogo kusaseyile o4-room ayithenga kuyi4-room. Akuna tiles, kune-tapete. You can imagine after 2000 and there's tapete on the floor. And you are viewed as this guy who does things. And then you come, and then the next day, after having interacted with Leo setup yasendlini and the unwelcoming welcome and all these sort of things, because after eating, my grandmother had said, I'm tired, I need to sleep. I'm glad you are back. Oh, by the way, there was this other friend of my grandmother's, Umama Ganati. Umama Ganati brought a cake and a card, actually. But she brought that at 8:30, at 25 minutes to 8 on my first day of release. I don't forget this, because I just know she entered the house after the E-Generation soapy. Yeah, understand? Yeah, Wedlalango 8. So E-Generation was still dominant. Wangena, Lili, she's got a very thin voice. We're happy for you, Yes, siyakujabulela sobuyile. Hawu, siyajabula. Uxola. Yekalani lezi izinto. She speaks that slow. Magogo, hayi, then we cut the cake. Hayi, sharp, fast forward, Mama Ganati uyahamba, say sharp. Tomorrow morning, my friend who visited me in prison after he got out in February, who came in after he got out in January and came in February, March, April, May, up until I was out. The one who bought me Versace. He comes. He gives me 3,000 rands in cash. Now, one thing about the welcome yangaphandle, the family welcome yangaphandle esigebengu esibuya ejele can be dull and disappointing as anything else. The church that you have embraced, maybe in the inside, or you were formerly attending, their welcome is very dull and judgmental when you come from jail. It doesn't matter what denomination. I don't even care what anybody says. But it's very dull. Compared to a welcoming ozoitola from the criminal world. Remember, it's levels on the criminal world. If you are welcomed by people who know this one is a soldier and they do cash in transit, You are guaranteed a place to stay. You are guaranteed a car to move around. You are guaranteed money to go and shut a clothing outlet, a boutique, and get dressed and get clothing that you will wear for some time before you can indulge. But after that, you owe your plug kuma activities because they know we animal. But the welcome is so warm to a point of the party. There will be women, there will be party, there will be drinks, there will be meat, there will be, you know how the party is conducted in the townships. And everyone will be spinning cars or welcoming, or even if it's not that exaggerated, but the welcome from a criminal, it's warmer than the welcome you get at home and at church. This one guy, I'm speaking from experience. The guy who gives me 3,000, he's got a VR6. You know, he had a VR6 then. He leaves the key. He gave me 3,000 and he said, there's 1,000 in the ashtray, you pour petrol. Don't use your money on petrol. Just pour petrol with that money. The car is full tank. And then he says, roam around, familiarize yourself with the township. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm still going around in Isayo spin. And then he goes to Alex. He formerly lived in Alex, but now he's living in Calfontaine. And then he says, ngisavaya, ngisaya around in ngizokubona. Kusasa. This is my second day outside. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I get a call. While still familiarizing myself with the outside world. I get a call. Hey, Mfwethu, around 6, come to Alex. We'll meet at Penn. Bring the car. You see there opposite Freedom, I've got a stepmother who's selling there. You drop the car there and the keys there. And then you come to the taxis of Rosebank. Around 6, you must be there. 6 o'clock sharp, you must be there. And then we go. The language is clear. We are going to do the siyobamba namhlanje. So yenze house arrest. Thathi warm up ntwana ungene entweni. Hi, spirit. The phone is calling me on is the phone he left in the car. That's how warm the welcome Yama criminals is. No matter that scale was not on that other exacerbated scale, Yama level, but on this level, it's very warm compared to the family and the church. I understand? Now, having said that, kusasa, at 5, I drive very slow. Why? I'm contemplating. Hey, on my 3rd day, going to the round, your spin, doing criminal activities on my 3rd day. What if I get arrested? I've been close to 7 years in jail. What if I get back? But I'll never get back. I'm still fresh. I got the luckiest blood you could ever have. I'm more like a virgin now. I haven't been into these activities, so I believe that fortune is on my side. I understand. But the panic is there. But the beast, because these 2 dogs or these 2 beasts inside of us that we feed are determined actually by your free will. Does it align itself this side mostly or that side? But at the time, because I was already in action, yokuyowenza my activities. By virtue of me driving to Alex, I was saying, I am conforming. I understand. Then I had to drive. Maziti 5:45 and say, Alex, get into a store. Took out money from my pocket. I'm buying a Red Bull. You know how cool it is to drink a Red Bull. Back then when we were still, thinking about things vaguely, we thought because it's expensive, it's something to drink. Yeah, that type of thing. So now, I got a Red Bull in hand. I'm dropping off this car. I'm calling. And I'm told, come and meet us here. We are just opposite the street. We can see you. It's us now. It's no longer him. I see this guy called from Spruit. We met in jail. He's already into activities with this one. And we all met in local.
Before that?
No. None of us knew each other. You understand? So now, here was I. Saying say Alex singene taxini siyahamba siya Rosebank. I remember that day. The first day siyabamba house arrest, house robbery to be precise. Kuna abantu family abantu abawu4. Siphethe igane eyi1. And yeah, we rob them. We tie them with your cable ties. Yabona ama straps, my cable ties, the thicker ones. We tie them. Only the baby, because that guy, that young man was like maybe 4 or 5, I don't know. But I carried him throughout the activity, talking to him, making sure I feed him everything they deprive him of eating during his kasasepsuku. Your ice cream. The little man was talking to me. Sweets, whatever things that they deprive the child, I was just giving him like that. Because namang funu traumatized, I understand. And then the woman nyamtata ahlale ngala, ahlale sofeni, but hands are behind. She's strapped on the legs or ankles. And then told to sit still. Then I like communicating among abantu. You sit still. The people that I'm with here, they're only looking for money and they're safe. Otherwise, they will take this and take it into child trafficking. So you can imagine, you don't see your child again. As they traumatize are your thoughts. I just, hey, uyazi man umuntu uthanda ukuzenza ngathi uwenze ngathi wazi kakhulu. And you end up doing things engathi kuya-actwa when in reality it's action. But it used to work because it wouldn't take time for umuntu busy brainwash to actually divulge where the safe is, where jewelry is, where money is. You understand? Where the firearms are. Kuleyo robbery kwaphuma isefo, kwaphuma igane eyi1. We got 1 firearm, jewelry, but it was not much. And then we got safe. And a vehicle, which I will not mention the model.
Gloves or a mask?
If I'm wearing a hat, it's conducive enough to disturb the identity. Unless you mark maybe my half tooth or maybe something that you see on me that you can identify in court. But it's very rare for someone to focus on certain aspects of your facial features when they are traumatized by the activity. You understand? So, mangiti, when you're in jail, you study to be a better criminal. I'm not playing games. I wouldn't have done house arrest in that manner had I been doing it like I was doing it before. Before siyangena siyabaqoqa, sisebenzisa even the cables to tie them, your electrical cords, you know, that type of thing. Your whatever cord connects the video to the wall or anything, we use that. Sometimes you use even tie. Yeah, a tie. It's a message up. You put them in one room. But now I'm able to, dispense them into their room so that they don't connive or concoct or try to do anything and think about what plan can they do. So during it trauma robbery, these people are feeling that impact because you don't know what's happening to your wife in the other room. So if people today, I've come to learn that if people today are speaking about abuse, they actually touching, they brushing it up. They're not. It's only on the surface that they're understanding it because they will narrow it to women and children abuse. You understand? Or they will just umbrella it with abuse. But concentrating on faculties and the deeper aspects of human abuse, they don't do that. Of abuse, they don't do that. Because here's the thing. Maugu robbery. You are pointing a firearm at people. By you pointing a firearm at people who are not even there to witness such, that's abuse on its own. Now, you torment someone with thoughts. What impact does it have on their brain? That's abuse. And then I carry you, I'm a criminal, you don't know me, you see me for the first time in your house. And your child is happy for me. They're eating ice cream. They got sweets on the other hand. They wanted their Superman toy, I gave it to them. They're here on my arm. When they say they want to go to daddy, I say, no, wait, we'll go to daddy. Daddy's still working now, okay? Then we go out. And you see me shutting the door. When I leave you in the room and I have your child in the hand. That's trauma. That's abuse. The depth of that compared to these other things that are purported as abuse. Some things are mentally strenuous. I mean, ikhona ukuthi uyashawa angideny ukuthi it's a very how do I put this, crazy and insane and unwanted form of behavior to abuse other people physically or otherwise. But when I traumatize you mentally, kunale lendlela abayibeka ngayo bathi physical and what? It's physical, sexual, and mental abuse, psychological abuse. Now, that psychological, they only narrow it to the women aspect where you would abuse her verbal. That's verbal abuse. You understand? Where we would say, hey, we are nyanyisa, you are not like other women, those type of things. They narrow it to that. But criminals, when we are doing these activities, what we do there, it's a form of abuse that can never be measured by any magnitude. I understand. But got out from that scene with those things, zalabo bantu. Imali ke siyishare endlini before siphume. It was 21,000 in total. With the extras that we got from Iwalat. It was nothing, but it was something compared to not having anything to having something. You understand? Ungaphandle. Thathe leyo 777. All else that was found there. Kitchenware, your what's that? Kitchenware, your gadgets or your TVs and stuff. All else that was found there. Yeah, electronics. And the duvets and pillows and what was given to me. Even jewelry. But bayangeza ibhathi bona ba right ngalama 17. I understand. Hamba nge I didn't want to mention that, but I did. Sharp. Masifika indoda le moto mayingaphakamisa sise Alex. Mayingaphakamisa enhleka sithe ndedula singihlisa idulasi mina kwenye intwana engiyaziyo yakudala. Ubathi naye. Ufika ngihlise lapha. Mangihlisa lapha ngipaka izinto mfana semzini. Ngiyoshiya le kara le stradini ungatshela umuntu ishiwe yimi uyiobserve kuphela. Mfana vele hayi. Ngithe mangifika ngabo ma 3 ekseni. Wathi akunamuntu ofikile ekareni ngathi hayi sikhiya ngapaka idulasi ngangena ngahamba. Hayi Ivory Park. This is the 4th morning ngiphume ejele. We close to 7 years incarceration.